Truth is not gentle. It doesn't knock politely. It presses. It lingers. It waits at the edge of your thoughts and refuses to dissolve. Tonight's question is not abstract. It's surgical. What truth terrifies you enough to deny it? Not what lie comforts you, and not what story you prefer, but what truth feels so destabilizing that you would rather construct a fortress than open a door. Join me now in and through the Static Seance.
Between stations, neither here nor gone. The hum of voices trapped in the wires, their confessions dissolving into static. A seance not in candlelit rooms, but on flickering screens, where the ghosts don't knock, but distort the signal. Shadows coil in the white noise. If only one dares to alter their own frequency, and listen.
Astaroth is associated with revelation, not the comforting kind, but the kind that tears illusion down to its bare bones. In older grimoires, Astaroth is said to be a revealer of hidden knowledge, to answer questions about the past and future, to expose what is concealed. Psychologically, that is unbearable for many people, because truth doesn't only illuminate the world. It illuminates you. You may have feared that knowing would unravel you. You may have thought that if you saw clearly enough, you'd become destabilized. So you chose partial vision, selective interpretation, half clarity, and you called it wisdom. Let's talk about the past a little bit and what truth was rejected. Sometimes it's obvious, sometimes it's subtle. For me, one of the hardest truths that I had to recognize was the way I approached magic in my youth was misguided. Not malicious, not necessarily stupid, just misguided. It was filtered through teen angst, youthful angst, through emotional intensity, through a desire for power that was inseparable from pain. I believed I was pursuing transcendence. In reality, I was often just reacting to wounds. I was trying to force revelation instead of becoming worthy of integration. And when things fell apart, when relationships dissolved, when stability fractured, when loss accumulated, I attributed so much of it to external forces. Other people's failures, other people's betrayals, other people's blindness. And there certainly were external factors. But here's the truth I resisted. Many of my appraisals were imbalanced. They were shaped by diluted constructs within my own heart and mind. I was interpreting reality through frameworks that felt monumental at the time, frameworks that seemed absolute, but they were incomplete. And incomplete frameworks generate distorted conclusions. That's terrifying to admit, because it means you were not merely victimized. You were also misaligned, and misalignment carries responsibility. It's easier to say, they ruined this. It's way harder to say, my perception was distorted. Truth wounds only illusions. It doesn't wound the core. It wounds the architecture built around it. So in the present, what truth presses now? And the truth pressing on me now is that clarity is not a permanent achievement. It's a living process. There was a time when I experienced certain revelations in magic, moments of insight that felt cosmic, definitive, absolute. They were monumental. They reshaped my understanding. But here's the subtle danger in that. I began treating those moments as final, as if glimpsing divine clarity was equivalent to becoming one with it. There is a difference, a profound difference. To glimpse clarity is to see the mountain. To become one with clarity is to climb it daily. And being human means you never finish climbing. The condition of human is the evolution. Perspective shifts. Understanding deepens. Blind spots reappear in new forms. If you cling to past clarity as permanence, it becomes dogma. And dogma is fossilized insight. It stops moving. It stops adapting. And when reality shifts, as it always does, you are blindsided. So the truth that presses now is that I have to constantly be reevaluating my stance on life, on relationships, even on the magic that I practice, on the motivations behind my rituals, on the narratives I build about success and failure. If I do not reappraise, I calcify. If I calcify, I blind myself. That denial prolongs suffering, not safety. I used to think that holding tightly to a revelation protected it, that questioning meant it could weaken it. Now I understand that questioning is refinement, because truth does not fear examination. Illusion does. Acceptance ends inner warfare. When you stop defending outdated versions of yourself, you free enormous energy. When you admit, I was wrong, you do not shrink, you stabilize. When you admit, I misunderstood, you don't collapse, you actually expand. The inner warfare comes from protecting a self-image that can no longer bear the weight of reality. And Astaroth exposes that war. He doesn't create despair, he reveals it. And despair often arises when identity and truth collide. If my youthful approach to magic was rooted in angst, that does not invalidate the sincere seeking that was present. It contextualizes it. If my losses were not solely the fault of others, that does not erase the harm done. It merely integrates my participation. Integration is not self-blame, it's self-ownership. So in the future, what truth frees you? The truth that frees me is that I'm stronger than revelation. I once feared that certain realizations would unravel me, that if I admitted my distortions, my entire spiritual framework would collapse. But collapse only occurs when the foundation is brittle. If your foundation is living, it adapts. So you are stronger than the truth that you avoid. You are more resilient than the illusion that you protect. And there is a deep liberation in saying, I do not need to be the version of myself that once felt so monumental. I can evolve. I can refine. I can revise. And magic itself demands this. Ritual is repetition with awareness. Practice is refinement through iteration. If I treat my spiritual life as a fixed monument rather than a living current, I betray the very essence of it. And so there is a difference between glimpsing divine clarity and being one with it. Because glimpses are gifts. A union is discipline. Glimpses inspire. Union transforms. And union requires humility. It requires admitting that yesterday's breakthrough is today's baseline. That once shattered you may now strengthen you. And that what once felt absolute may now be contextual. So Astaroth asks, what truth terrifies you enough to deny it? Is it that you are wrong? Is it that you are immature? Is it that your suffering was sometimes, at least a little bit or in part, self-generated? Is it that your anger masked insecurity? Is it that your spiritual pride concealed confusion? And these are not accusations. They are invitations. Because clarity is liberation. Not because it feels good, but because it ends the exhausting labor of defense. You no longer have to protect a narrative that reality keeps disproving. You no longer have to fight information that threatens identity. You can let identity evolve. You can let perception sharpen. You can let practice mature. And in doing so, you become more dangerous. Not in ego, but in alignment. Because someone who is not afraid of truth cannot be easily manipulated. Someone who continually reappraises their stance cannot be trapped by outdated constructs. Someone who distinguishes between glimpsing clarity and embodying it will never again confuse a moment of revelation with permanent mastery. Work is ongoing. The refinement is endless. And that should not be discouraging. It should be liberating. Because it means that there's always more depth available. Always more integration possible. Always more alignment to cultivate. You feared knowing would unravel you. Instead, knowing reconstructs you. You feared truth would destroy your path. Instead, truth corrects it. You feared revelation would expose your weakness. Instead, revelation strengthens your foundation. So again, what truth terrifies you enough that you deny it? What would happen if you stopped denying it? You are stronger than revelation, stronger than revision, stronger than the collapse of illusion. And clarity, even when it burns, is mercy, because it ends the war within.
So many lies regarding a path, only ever the wrath of omniscient math. He may have his all-knowing eye, but then so what does she have?